right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin' Podcast. Today, we are talking college basketball, and I am joined by Ryan Hammer, the host of the Blue Blooded Podcast here, and I'm just excited. We got the season starting on Monday. It's got to feel good that we're about to get college hoops back.
Finally, we're back. It's especially when the NBA season starts before the college season. I'm kind of like, all right, like we're into some exhibition stuff and scrimmages, but we still have to wait a little extra. So.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a really good season, I feel like. We're gonna talk like all conference predictions, like individual players and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's pretty loaded at the top with some of these teams that we're eventually gonna get into. Like there's some stacked college rosters out there next year. And I kind of want to just we'll just kind of dive right into like maybe the Big 12 we'll start off with. This conference is definitely headlined by Houston going into this season. Houston is probably one of my favorite teams entering this year, which is not really a hot take by any means. But I'm just excited that they have two like notable draft prospects in Isaiah Harwell and Christian Acc. They are obviously bringing back JoJo Tugler and Miles Uzan. What's kind of your feel on the Big 12 this year? Do you think it could be up for grabs, or do you think this is like pretty much Houston's conference to lose?
It's definitely theirs to lose. Last year, like people don't realize, last year the conference was really good. Like Iowa State was very good also, Texas Tech. Houston went 19-1 in Big 12 last year, and Iowa State was in second at 15-5. Like it wasn't even close. It wasn't even remotely close. So it is definitely theirs to lose. They lose a couple of pieces, but they replenish with those three freshmen, really, Isaiah Harwell, Christian Acc, and Kingston Flemings also, who are all going to play big roles. And like they're awesome. You know the defense, the system is going to be crazy. You know they're going to be a top 5 team in the country the entire season. Like to me, they're the favorite to win everything in the entire country national championship because you just know what you're going to get. They're the shortest thing possible. If I had to bookmark a team like they're going to be a Final Four team, it would be them.
Yeah. Like so close last year to winning the national championship, and they're suited to go right back. It's really cool, like their rise over the last few years with Kelvin Sampson. Like I remember watching them like when I was at Temple, like in the American, and now they're like, what are they, preseason top 3?
They're 2, I think, behind.
They're 2,
Purdue,
right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So they're going to be an exciting team to watch. I assume you're gonna like that's your team, right? You had Houston winning the Big 12.
Yeah. I picked them. I think the top 6 in the Big 12 is the best top 6 in any league in the entire country. I love Texas Tech. I know the draft people are hip on Christian Anderson coming out.
Yeah.
I think Lawan Watts is an underrated draft prospect. Obviously, JT Toppin's a monster. Like they're going to be so good and so much fun to watch. So I think they could push it. But then even teams, Iowa State, Arizona, etc. Like the top 6 is awesome. So
yeah, there's going to be like Kansas has usually been the team kind of recent years that has been at least at the top in the preseason polls. And like last year was kind of a disaster for them, given that they were, I think, number 1 in the preseason poll in general. And then they ended up losing in round 1. But they're going to be talked about a ton this year because of Darren Peterson, who could be the best freshman in the country. He could be the number 1 overall pick. You mentioned Texas Tech, like they're going to be up there as well. And it is cool that like AJ Debinca in this conference with Darren Peterson, like these guys are going to play each other multiple times this year. And they're going to both be fighting for the number 1 pick in the draft. So yeah, we both have Houston going into this. Texas Tech, like you mentioned, is going to be really fun with Christian Anderson and how they're going to replace like Darren Williams, who was a big loss for them going forward. Is there like a sleeper team that you really like here? Like, or do you buy in like PJ Haggerty at Kansas State or anything like that?
I don't know, not too much. I think Oklahoma State's probably the one sleeper. Second year of Steve Lutz, who was at Western Kentucky before. They play like really fast. They got a ton of bucket getters now, like Anthony Roy and a couple other guys that can put up 20, 30 in a flash. So they're interesting, fun to watch. Kansas State's a weird team. They're just like, I call them like a ragtag type of team. It's a very strange team that's put together. They got like this guy that was compared to DJ Burns at one point last year. He's not as good as DJ Burns, but Marcus Williams. They got the kid Abdi Bashir from Monmouth who can score a buck ton. PJ Haggerty, Nate Johnson from Akron, who was player of the year there last year. Like, it's a weird team. I don't think they're going to be very good, but talent-wise, like, sure, they could be the dark horse for sure.
Yeah, a lot of fun draft prospects here in this conference too. Like even mentioning Tunde Yesufu at Baylor is going to be a really fun watch this year. And Arizona's got Koa Pete and Braden Burry, so they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. Big 12 has kind of turned into like not like a powerhouse in college basketball, but there's an argument they could be the second best conference this year, maybe 1 if everything goes right.
For sure.
It's just there's some good conferences for sure, and we'll go over to the Big East next, which is. I feel like everybody has a soft spot for the Big East just because this is not a football conference. Most of these teams don't even have a football program outside of like, I think just UConn and Nova, right?
UConn, Nova do. I don't think the other ones do at all. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. And I think Nova's not even
No, they're
like
yeah, it's like
they're
not
like
even. It's,
double A now or something like
yeah, I don't
that.
know what it is.
So this is all hoops. And it's kind of like a two-headed race going into the year between UConn and St. John's. I feel like they're very split on maybe who's going to end up winning this conference in general. I think I just had my poll up. The St. John's is ahead of UConn in the AP. No, sorry, UConn is one spot ahead of St. John's, but they're 4-5, which was like
yeah.
electric to have St. John's. They get bounced by Arkansas last year, but they bring in a hefty transfer portal for sure going into this year after losing like Kadari Richmond and RJ Lewis. Kadari Richmond, yeah,
They
no,
lost. Yeah, they
they
lost
did
both.
lose him,
Yeah,
right?
you got it. You
Yeah,
got it.
and RJ Lewis, like he was going to transfer, right? If he did stay, but now we're
Yeah.
like, maybe he should have did this because
Weirdest
now
thing
he's
in the
playing.
world. That's the weird. And then he got cut from the Celtics, right? Like it's the weirdest
Yeah.
situation in the world. It kind of reminds me of Chris Livingston when he was at Kentucky. He scored like 2 points a game. His agents basically put him in a spot where he was guaranteed to get drafted, and he went like 58 to the Bucks, and like he didn't really play, obviously. And now I don't know what he's doing now, but like, it's a similar situation where like you probably should just stay. They were not similar in sense of what they were going back to and coming from necessarily.
Yeah.
But the same idea of like you should probably just go back to school.
Yeah, and it makes like Lewis's a little bit more perplexing too. Like if you didn't have a guarantee to get drafted, he was going to make more in the transfer portal than he would have made if even he got drafted at 35.
He probably, even from St. John's to stay, I know they got bags. Like he probably would have made $3 million plus from any random school. So
yeah, like if I'm looking at like the top transfers, he's definitely a top 10 transfer if he did leave, and these guys got pretty good money as well. So, so St. John's brings in Ian Jackson from UNC is a big one as well that they're bringing in. They brought in who's the other guard they brought in? Was it Bryce? No, he's a
forward. They do have Bryce. They have Joseph Sannon from ASU.
Oh yeah,
Sellers from Stanford, and they got this kid Dylan Darling from I think he's Idaho State. Basically all shooters because their shooting was miserable last year.
Yeah, it was rough. So I was going back and forth on who I like between these two teams because like last year was an obvious down year for Dan Early and UConn, and which makes sense just because they won 2 national titles. It's very tough to three-peat, and they still made a little run in the tournament as well. Mm-hmm. Where do you kind of stand on between St. John's and UConn at the moment?
It's kind of like a 1A, 1B. You said like 4 or 5 in the AP poll. The Big East preseason poll where the coaches vote, obviously, they have St. John's ahead actually, 7 votes to 4 votes, first place, which is interesting. I think because St. John's won last year, the front court and the system in the regular season is going to dominate again, so they might win the Big East. But if I had to take a team more poised for March success, it's definitely UConn. I don't fully trust the St. John's system, and I do fully trust the UConn system, and the freshmen coming in are going to be huge. You're going to get breakouts from guys like Jalen Stewart on the wing, and then Solo Ball will probably score even a buck ton more. Alex Caravan, you know what you get. They have good backcourt players, Silas Demery and Malachi Smith. Like, they're pretty deep at every spot. And especially if Terrace Reed can kind of be that anchor 5 that they usually rely on. I like UConn slightly more than St. John's, but again, I think it's 1A, 1B, and then a big gap than everybody else. So
yeah, I'm excited to watch like Braylon Mullins, and if we get a little Jacob Furphy this year, would be exciting. Yeah. Killed it in the U19s as well. I like St. John's a little bit more. That could just be like my New York bias and just like wanting to see them succeed a little bit. Yeah, but they're going to be a great race either way because St. John's beat UConn both times in the regular season last year, right?
Yeah, I think they won both times, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is like, I'm like, all right, like they're going to be competitive, but they're like UConn's a powerhouse still. And like last year was a down year for them, which is still like a good season to most standards.
Yep.
So between, I guess, those two at the top, I think you had Creighton 3 in yours?
I had Creighton as like a clear 3 and then a little bit of a drop off after that again. I mean, Creighton's so much fun to watch. Offensively, they'll be great. They have a bunch of guys who are good scorers. I think Blake Harper's an NBA player also. Mm-hmm. They don't have a good defense. They normally don't have a great defense anyway, but they're going to have it's going to be a little bit of a shell shock going from Ryan Kalkbrenner to Owen Freeman from Iowa, who's literally the exact opposite. He's all offense. So,
yeah. And then there's a couple new coaches as well, like Patino's son coaching at Xavier. And then you got Nova's got a new coach, right, going into this year as well. There was the Kyle Neptune kind of like era that ended. So we'll see if Nova can kind of come back. Is there a team you like outside of like the clear-cut 3? Because Creighton is also ranked towards the end of the poll. But do you like any of these teams to be a sleeper? Is it like Marquette? Any?
I like Providence as a sleeper. I have them ranked fourth for me. I think the Big East preseason poll had them four also, which I was surprised at.
Mhm.
They returned a few guys. They play
Yeah.
intensely, good defense. They have an amazing home environment. Jason Edwards, coming from Vanderbilt, is going to be their best player. I think he's a first team all conference player. He'll be one of the better guards in the conference in the country this year. And like I said, they returned a couple of other guys that I think are key pieces. And I think Providence, this is a big year for Kim English, their coach, and them
Mhm.
as a program too. Like they should be a tournament team or at least the fourth best team in the conference. And if they get in, they do. If they don't, they don't. But I like them enough to be like, I think they'll be just on the right side of the bubble this year, and they're going to be fun. And their fans are psychotic. So
Yeah, there's just something about Big East basketball. It's
yeah,
just so different too. It's because that's kind of like all they got at this point.
it's true.
So we'll go to the Big Ten. Definitely a little bit more of a stack conference, more teams in this one for sure, larger transfer budgets and all that. So there's, I think, a clear cut one to most standards. It's Purdue. They're keeping a ton of guys. They may have the best player in the country in Braden Smith, and then we'll get like to Naismith talk later. But Michigan also may have the best player in the country at the end of the day, and it could be Axel Lindenberg, who was their top transfer. There was a chance he could have went to the NBA draft as well. They landed Elliot Cadeau. We know that they lose Dusty May and Vlad Golden. You're also, I know, on Purdue as number one, which isn't like a hot take by any means, but do you think there's a good chance that Michigan could rival them this year?
I mean, in the Big Ten, like Purdue could finish third and they could still be number two in the country and number one in the country that at the end of the season. Like the Big Ten's kind of like a shit show sometimes, and they just like
Mm-hmm.
teams just beat each other up. I comfortably have Purdue at one, and then a gap, and then the Michigan, the UCLA, Illinois, or even Oregon, teams like that. Everybody kind of right after that, and it feels like anywhere from like 2 to like 13 teams could finish
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. I don't think Michigan's going to finish 13 or 12, but I think a lot of those teams could be, a lot of the teams at the back end could really rise up and vice versa and stuff. But I do have Michigan as number two behind Purdue because you kind of know what you get out of a Dusty May system. Really good bigs, versatile bigs also, and he gets the most out of them. I don't know if their shooting is going to be good enough, and I don't know if they're going to turn the ball over too much again like they did last year. So
Yeah. Because UCLA lands like Donovan Dent, like maybe like one of the most impactful transfers out there. Illinois got just the whole European squad
crazy.
going into this year's season, which is actually wild. And then Oregon has like a sneaky, maybe Naismith. He might actually be hurt, but Jackson Shelstad, I know people are talking about a lot this
Yep.
year, could have been or could end up being one of the best players in the country going forward. And then we're going to be able to watch like Bennett Sturts at Iowa, which is going to be fun this year under a new head coach. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty much like a two-man race. It looks like between the voting for the Big Ten preseason media poll. Is there a team that you think is like slept on a little bit out of these? Maybe it's like Washington. I'm just like a sucker for the young guys
Oh,
too because you got Steinbeck, you got Mandiquit. So like,
they're
do you
so
like a
good.
specific team?
I love Washington. I'm so with you.
Yeah.
They're Hannes Steinbach, honestly,
Mm,
could end up being like, I don't think he's gonna be an all-American, but like Washington to me could be like a top 25 team in the country for sure, pretty early on if they look good, because people are starting to pick up steam on them. But even beyond him and JJ Mandiquit, who was like, oh dude, how often do you see pass rush like that as freshmen coming in? Like he's
it's crazy.
unbelievable. But they also have Desmond Cloud and Wesley Yates coming in from USC. Wesley Yates was already at Washington before that. Like Jacob Bognosevich, who's hurt right now, but he was a Lipscomb ASUN player of the year. They got this kid who was the SoCon player of the year, Kamari Peterson. Like they got dudes there. Don't know if the defense is going to be good enough to be like amazing, but if Hannes is as good as he looks and we think he is,
Hmm.
like they could be awesome and it'd be great for those young guys. So it's not just the young guys and the upside and potential. Like Washington is nice. I'm with it.
Yeah, there's going to be some really good teams this year in the Big Ten, and there's maybe going to be some bounce back teams as well. Like I guess we'll see how Indiana was. I know last year
Yeah.
was a little bit of a disappointment for them, like Iowa, USC. So we'll see about these teams going forward. But yeah, we both got Purdue at the top. ACC, I feel like also is kind of chalky at the top, right? Like you're going to take Duke. I mean, this team. Imagine they were able to land Cedric Howard in the transfer portal, like the way he's playing for the Grizzlies. Like that was set in stone if he didn't go to the draft. And then you're bringing in maybe the most accomplished freshman in a while in Cameron Boozer. You have his brother, Caden Boozer. You're bringing maybe like the top international guy, Dame Sar. You have Nicholas Yamenia, who's like one of the best shooters in this class too, or at least incoming freshman, and in Patrick Gong. But like this team is stacked with young talent. There's just so many mouths to feed. Like I recently like recorded my top 30 prospects, and I'm like, where's like the touches for Isaiah Evans? Where's the touches for Gamenia? Where's the touches for Dame Sar? It's going to be interesting to see how Schreier kind of works his offense this year because last year, like Evans was kind of the odd man out going forward with like Knipple and Cooper Flagg and Sion James getting the touches. I assume I actually know you have Duke one. Is this team like good chance. Like, what are the odds this team could be better than last year's team, or is that tough to do?
I'll say very, very slim. Duke last
Yeah,
year, realistically, like if they didn't choke against Houston, they probably are national champions. They probably
for
should have
sure.
been. Analytically and on when you look back on it, like they're one of the best teams ever in the history of this sport. They were
It's
everything
crazy.
was so good, and they didn't even get to the national championship game, which is crazy. That's how speaks to how good the Final Four teams were in those top four teams.
Hmm.
There's a good chance they're as good relative to the rest of the country, like for this year, like they were last year, if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
man, they're so good. Like Cam is so good, but Caden's also good. Caleb Foster is good. Slim, I love Isaiah Evans, dude. There's no way they don't find the PT and the opportunity for him. He's way too good. And I think between Cam Boozer, Isaiah Evans, and Pat Ngangba, those are their three best players. And then everyone else kind of fills in behind that. Dame Sarr probably is a key player also, and Caleb and Caden and stuff. But those three guys to me are like the dudes on the team.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm just kind of remembering. Yeah, it's like they had so many guys last year, which just like come on, like anchoring the
Yeah.
defense. Just Cooper Flag as a help defender. I didn't realize like that they were that statistically good compared to like all time teams, but I guess they did feel like it at one point. They won like over 30 games last year. They were
Great.
unreal. They went. I'm looking 19-1 in the ACC, and
Yeah.
was there only lost Clemson? Am I remembering that correctly?
In the ACC, it might have been.
Or it was Louisville. It was one of those two. I think there was like something where Clemson has been like the top teams
They
in
lost to
the
Clemson. Yeah, that's the only game they lost in the
crazy
ACC tournament.
17-0 at home.
Dude, they were ridiculous last year. Think about their starting lineup last year. Tyrese Proctor was like basically 6'5". He was a small player
Yeah,
on the court most of the time. Like Kaman Malawach is like 9 feet tall. Cooper Flag's damn near 7 feet and feels like it with his arms. Like they were so big and still
unreal.
able to shoot the ball and play so well offensively. Like that's a freaky team. Freaky.
Yeah. So they're consensus number one. We both have them pretty much to win the ACC, which isn't really a hot take, but it will be interesting to see how much like Louisville can kind of go after them. It is cool to see like Pat Kelsey really turn this program around from what it was just like a year and a half ago. Not really having expectations last year and finishing second in the ACC. I love them in the tournament, and then they lost to Creighton in I think that 8-9 matchup in the first leg, or is that
Yeah,
Creighton?
Louisville got their ass kicked in the first game of the tournament. Yeah.
I think I had them in my Elite Eight too, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're out!"
Yeah.
Like to start, I'm like, I got like so many comments on my like one of my YouTube videos about the bracket. Like, I took Louisville to go. I'm like, why are you listening to me? Nobody really knows at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
Well, I guess you kind of did. You had your Final Four, right? Right.
I don't take as much
I
pride as I
know,
want to
but
because the one seeds, and I usually stay very clear away from doing that. But those four teams were stupid last year.
yeah. And hey, you were on it.
So it works.
So Louisville's got like a loaded backcourt, headlined by Mikael Brown. They've Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell. They're going to be, I feel like, a fast-paced team this year. We'll see how they try to rival Duke kind of going forward. What's your feel on Louisville as maybe, like, could they end up as like a top 10-ish team? I know they're preseason 11, but are you high on Louisville? I know you're high on their backcourt.
They definitely, I mean, the guards are ridiculous. Like Mikael
Yeah.
Brown is as good of and complete of a pro style scoring combo guard as you want. NBA outlook, college outlook, whatever. He's awesome. Ryan Conwell can score 30 plus any given night. Isaac Neely, elite 3-and-D player. Javon Hadley plays like a small ball 4 a little bit. Adrian Woolley, like the guards are so good. But Pat Kelsey, one, has never had a nationally relevant team, really. Like, he's never had this kind of expectation on a team in his entire career from Louisville in a year, and then Charleston, obviously, before that. So this is going to speak to the level of him as a coach, and can he compete at that level? And then also just defensively in the front court, like, they're just not as good, and they're probably get their ass kicked versus a couple of teams that can just, like, bully them. Like, when they play Kentucky, I'm significantly worried for them in that game because they play that every year, and they're athletic and big and strong and physical, and so that'll be interesting. But they definitely can. Things can go well for them early on in all season, and their guards can carry them. But there's other teams in the ACC. Carolina's not super well coached, but they're good on paper. I love Virginia this year. NC State with Will Wade is going to be a good team. Like there are good teams behind them right there. So.
Yeah, like going to UNC, it's weird because like in previous years, it felt like they were carried by their guards. Either it's like a Caleb Love or an RJ Davis, or an LA Cadell, and now they're kind of like going to be relying on their front court with Henry Vasar and Caleb Wilson, who's a top 10 recruit, could be a top 10 pick in the draft. Yeah, you said that they're not well coached. Like, I wonder if Hubert Davis, like, this is his like make or break year as the UNC head coach because they have a standard and they haven't really reached that standard since his first year where they made it to the national championship game as like an 8 seed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He's like almost riding the coattail of that freakish run of Caleb Love just scoring like random buckets in 30 a game. I don't know. I don't think they'll fire him because they're going to be a tournament team. But like for whatever reason, if they missed a tournament and everyone was healthy all year, then the
Yeah.
fans might start calling for his head. It's also things are different at Carolina. The way they do things with guys like him that are internal, that are Carolina dudes, like they have a little bit of leeway. I feel like also, even though they do have a Carolina standard, but if they miss a tournament, then maybe a conversation is had.
Yeah, which almost happened last year. There was
Yeah,
that whole
exactly.
debate. So they're coming. UNC is coming in at number 25. So the ACC has 3 teams this year. Definitely lower than years past because just like with the transfer portal and everything like that. So you like Virginia a little bit as well to finish like at the top of this conference.
Love them. I think it's a team that, like, especially speaking to like the NBA community, NBA fans, they're like, oh, dipping into college basketball. A lot of
Hmm.
players that people have never, like the casual fans have never heard of. A lot of mid-major guys coming in
Hmm.
from like North Dakota State and San Francisco, but they are going to be good. Their coach was the VCU coach last year. He was at Utah State before that, and he was the UMBC coach when they were a 16 seed and beat Virginia as a 1 seed actually.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
yeah.
he's a great coach, great defensive system he has, and he has a lot of offensive weapons in guard play this year. So, including a couple international guys, Tez DeRitter, who's big on draft radars, Johan Grunlow also in the front court. They're a really, really fun team. I think they're wildly underrated.
Yeah, it really just kind of shows how like wide open this conference can really be. Like there's a chance like Louisville is not finishing number 2
Yeah.
at the end of the year, and somebody like it could be Virginia, it could be like an NC State or somebody like that. Going forward, there's some fun draft prospects in this conference as well. Like we'll see if Darren Williams can. He could have been like a fringe first rounder guy last year.
Yeah.
You have Nicolas Abdelas at B Tech is going to be a fun watch. We'll see how they look.
Oh, yeah.
And Melo Sun's going to be playing in the ACC, which is cool as well.
Of course.
So we'll hop over to maybe the best conference in the SEC. This conference has the reigning national champion in the Florida Gators, and they got better. It feels like they did lose Walter Clayton, their best player, but they kind of killed the transfer portal. Getting Boogie Flan, getting Xavier Lee, and that backcourt's going to be unreal with Thomas Huck and How Huck.
Hauk, put them together.
Hauk, yes, combine them. Yeah, I've been going back and forth because then like
it's weird. Yeah.
It's like Tyler Shuck in the NFL, and then
exactly.
right. So they have them. They have Alex Condon, who could have been a draft guy, and I mean, this conference is just going to be loaded again between Kentucky, between Arkansas with the talent they have. Auburn could be. I wonder like how they're going to look this year with no Bruce Pearl, and like that could be like a new feel to it. Alabama's going to be good. Tennessee should be good with maybe Nate Ament. We'll see how he looks. It was like a little shaky in his first exhibition game. I have Florida. I'm going to assume you have Florida too. Right.
Yeah, it's Florida, Kentucky, and then not a massive drop off, but because I think Arkansas is really close up there, and Tennessee not far behind that. But those are my clear top 4 teams. I think it'd be irresponsible to not go with Florida. They lost their entire backcourt, which isn't good because their backcourt won them the national championship last year, as good as their front court was. But returning the front court, hopefully them taking another leap up in terms of responsibility and usage and what they can do. And then the guards that they replaced with Xavier Lee, Boogie Fland, obviously AJ Brown, also basketball. Ohio AJ Brown, not Eagles AJ Brown, obviously. Hopefully they can be near as good. It'll be different how they play, but Golden's such a good coach, it'd be irresponsible to not go with them. But Kentucky looks good right now, and their roster is ridiculously loaded. So,
yeah. I guess like who do you think ends up being? Well, I guess like Owe is going to be the best player on Kentucky. Is there somebody else you like really like on Kentucky?
I mean, if Jaden Quains is healthy, when he's healthy in hopefully this early December, he's the best shot blocker in the country, and he's a starting 5. He's awesome. Jasper Johnson, the freshman coming in, who I so much love, the next great Kentucky guard, and then Cam Williams from Tulane, who's like an elite 2-way player. He had a great freshman season last year. He can shoot the ball. He's a great defender. He does everything. I think he's going to be a huge piece also, and I mean, they got guys all over, like Jalen Lowe coming in from Pitt, Modi Abate from Alabama. Like, the team is so good. It's rumored they spent $22 million in their roster.
Crazy.
Like I believe it when I look at it. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I honestly kind of forgot that they got Jelon Lowe in the transfer portal, and he was like on draft radars last year. A little bit of a down year at Pitt, but team is stacked. I'm looking at Arkansas, and I feel like this could be like a good year 2, like Coach Calipari year at Arkansas. Like getting Darius Cuff, having like Carter Knox year 2, Malik Thomas coming in. This team could be pretty good, honestly. Billy Richmond is rotational guy.
They're nice. I'm in on Arkansas. They return a lot of the roster from last year, a lot of the pieces. The best Coach Cal teams from Kentucky in the past, in like the 2010s with the Aaron Fox and Malik Monk type teams and Tyler Hero teams and Maxey and Quickly, are freshman guard run teams. Darius Akov is unbelievable. Malik Thomas is very good too. Those two are the best players on the team and the ceiling of the team. They got a couple front court pieces to be like the bruisers, do the dirty work, physicality, guys that have good experience also. DJ Wagner will be good playing next to a guy like Darius Acuff, who will be the best player on the team, I think. And I just think like if there was have not been a better setup team for Coach Cal to win in the last few years than this team. So
yeah. So we'll see who kind of emerges out of the SEC. It's going to be good. It's going to probably be one of the best conferences. Who do you think ends up like being like the best player in the SEC? Because if you look at like the Naismith odds or the Wooden odds, like always the highest out of all those guys. But then you have like Pettiford and Gillespie and who else is out here? You have like Boogie Fland. Is there somebody that you really like out of the SEC to be like SEC Player of the Year specifically?
Player of the Year, like they factor in team success a lot. So I would say Otega Owe because I know Kentucky's going to be that good. I think Florida will be really balanced. In terms of best player, eye test, how you feel. You can't throw out a guy like Josh Hubbard is a guy in Miss State who's just like ultimate green light and it works. It's awesome. And I think that Darius Acuff is up in that conversation. Jacoby Gillespie also, we haven't talked about a lot, but him at Tennessee going back home. Nademan's good, but Jacoby will be their best player for 100% certainty.
Gotcha. Yeah. Definitely some names to keep an eye on because the SEC's like, it's got some draft talent this year, but I think a little bit less than maybe years past. It's a lot of good transfer guys, like your Keyshawn Halls of the world and all those. So we talked about kind of like who we like in each conference. A lot of like it kind of gets. I mean, like there is a top heavy part of like college basketball this year for sure on paper. Do you agree? I guess I could ask you your top 5 teams, I guess, or more so. Do you agree with the college basketball AP poll, coaches poll, in some way, shape, or form? Are you like Purdue, Houston, Florida? I assume make it. How many Big East teams are in your top 5? Is it 2? Do you have Duke in there? Do you have Michigan in there? BYU? Like, who is like your definitive top 5 this year?
The top 3, like you said, were like when I was doing it even months ago. I'm like, all right, Houston, Purdue, Florida. I'll figure out the order later on, and I'll deal with it. Duke was an easy 4 for me, and then 5 was tough. Like I went between probably 6 different teams. I ended up with Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech this year. I talked about them earlier. Like. They're one of my favorite teams as a Final Four team, potential dark horse title contender. UConn had 6, St. John's at 10, a little bit behind just because of the postseason upside. Although in the regular season, they will obviously dominate teams and skyrocket up here in some capacity. But I consider Kentucky. I considered BYU for a little while, but I need to see that on paper a little bit too.
Yeah, I like Texas Tech a lot too. Just maybe Christian Anderson was just so much fun to watch this summer. JT Toppin last year, like I don't know if the number is public, but whatever he got to stay at Big 12 is probably massive because he would have been like the top transfer guy if he left regardless. He was one of the best players in college basketball last year. It stinks they lost. Like if they had Darren Williams still, like this team is maybe top 4, like consensus. So we'll see about Texas Tech, but they could end up winning the Big 12. Like Houston isn't like 100% going to win the conference. I mean, they're the favorite for a reason off the season they had last year and their defense, but I like Texas Tech a lot as well. I'm interested to see how Anderson does because I wonder like also his position. Can he be like a true point guard or is he more of like a score first guy at the end of the day?
He says he wants to be. He says he wants to be the best point guard in the country, so I'm holding to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get any close to Braden Smith, that is definitely a good feat this year. So I guess like for the Naismith Wooden Award, like basically the MVP of college basketball. We talked about it before how funny it is that there's like both of these. Like it should just be like one award, like Naismith and Wooden, but at the end of the day, it usually overlaps most of the time. I guess so. The top odds are like Braden Smith favorite to win it. Then it's like JT Toppin and Yaxel Lindenberg right behind him. And then you have like Otega Owe, Trey Kaufman-Renn, Donovan Dent, Darren Williams, Bennett Sturtz in this range. Was kind of shocked to see Sturtz that high from transferring from Drake and being top 10 in Wooden Award odds. I guess, are you on Braden Smith, like, which would make sense? He is the favorite, or is there somebody you like a little bit more? Because I'm like leaning towards Lindenberg. It's going to be a different beast than the American, but I just feel like he's going to dominate down low in the Big Ten. But like, who do you like maybe to win the Wooden Award?
When you look back at the season, like, as long as Michigan's a top 10 team, he might end up winning because the statistical box, like the production that he's going to put up is going to be, he'll have random games where he has like 30 and 20 and 5 assists. And and you watch the game and you're like, he had 30 and 20. What? Like
crazy.
It's so easy and simple for him. So he could definitely do it. I think 2 freshmen, Cam Boozer and Darren Peterson, are right there with Braden Smith, JT Toppin, and Yax. I wouldn't put it past Cam. Duke's going to be amazing. And as long as Kansas can be relevantly good, dip into the top 10, maybe be a top 15 team all year, he's going to be so good. Like a little bit of Cade Cunningham like in 2021, who don't think he didn't win the National Player of the Year, but he was up there in that contention because of how much he carried a team and how good he was in such a good conference. I think Cam's probably the better dark horse because he's so all around and so polished, and he's going to be great right away, and Duke's going to be great. So low key, I kind of think Cam might win it. I don't think there's like a big drop off at all between the all 5 of those guys I mentioned in terms of odds to win. TKR won't win. Like, he physically won't win because if they win, it's gonna if Purdue is the best team in the country, it's gonna go to Braden Smith, unless TKR has like this revelation of a season, which he hasn't changed. He's not going to. And then I think I love Sturts, but Iowa's not going to be good enough. And then Donovan Dent's probably the one big sleeper for sure.
Yeah, and obviously, like, draft boards are going to be so fluid throughout the start of the year. I remember, like, last year, I loved Jalil Bethea as, like, a lottery pick going into the year, and then some situations don't work out. He could rebound his value this year. But if you look at, like, the consensus, like, top prospects for the 26th draft, a lot of these guys are playing at, like, big schools, and there's a chance, like, the top 10 picks are all playing in the national or playing in March Madness between Louisville and Houston, BYU, Duke. Kansas, I hope, makes it. I mean, if Darren Peterson is who we think he can be, I think that he should be fine to go far moving forward. I'm just like on Lindenberg. I don't so I actually play for the first time last year. I played college fantasy basketball, and it's I mean, I had such a blast playing it. And then Lindenberg went. I wasn't too familiar with him, and somebody took him in like the 4th or 5th round at a UAB. I'm like, why are we taking a UAB guy this early? He was like, I think the 2nd ranked fantasy player.
Ridiculous. The stats are crazy.
Yeah. Do you play college fantasy?
I'm going to this year. I have a draft tonight for the first time. Everyone's been like DMing me, be like, "Can I get your help building my team?" I'm like, holy shit, what's happening? Oh my god, I gotta try this, but it's like I can't really help you. Like, I haven't done it before, so I have no idea.
Yeah. There's so much going on. Do you know what pick you have?
Nope, no idea.
Okay, yeah, because last year it was like, are you playing on Fantrax? Yeah, right. That's what we did it last year. And like their rankings were so different than like what it ended up being. Like St. Thomas at USC was like the 2nd ranked player. And like people were obviously just kind of going off like that. And yeah, it didn't really work out. I took RJ Davis in the 1st round last year. I remember it could have been better.
Yeah, but that's like at the time, it's a normal pick. That's like taking a guy like Otega Owe or something like that now. And then you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun for sure. And then I guess 2 more things kind of wanted to hit on. So if I gave you like the top 5 transfers that are kind of ranked on like the composites, I wanted to know like who you would rank most impactful this year out of these top 5. So Lindenberg to Michigan from UAB, PJ Haggerty, Memphis to Kansas State, Sturts straight to Iowa, Dent, New Mexico to UCLA, and Darren Williams Tech to NC State. Like he's kind of tied with like Fland. But those 5, Williams, Dent, Sturts, Haggerty, and Lindenberg, how would you rank them that you think will make the most impact on their new teams this year?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, they're all so good. They're all going to be the best players on their team by a country mile. Impact on their team, because the teams are worse, Sturts and Haggerty will have a bigger impact. I'd say Sturts. Sturts will have the biggest impact on his team probably because it's his same coach from Drake. Like, I talked to him about it. He was like, I'm going to play not 40 minutes a game like I did last year. He played like literally 39 and a half minutes a game last year. It was stupid. He's like, but I'll probably play something close to it, and the ball's going to be in my hands all the time again. So he'll be the most impactful to his team. I'd say Donovan Dent probably 2nd because of how game-changing he is and how UCLA has to change their system completely for him. And then I'd say Yaxel, PJ, and Darian. Love Darian. He could end up being the quote-unquote best transfer from here if it works out and the team is good. But I think they're going to play a little bit more of a balanced system than the other 4 guys on here. So no slight to Darian. I just think in terms of overall impact, the other 4 guys are like, they're going to be like by far the dudes every single game, night in, night out. So
yeah. And that makes a ton of sense as well, right? Like, not as good teams, you're going to make more of an impact for sure, like you mentioned. So there's just like a lot of guys I'm excited to watch, like Sturts. How is he really going to look this year? Because he looked calm, cool, collective in the tournament.
Yes.
It's going to be a different beast in the Big Ten for sure. But there's a chance he is a lottery pick on draft night because of his IQ, his decision-making, his ball handling ability. So I'm really excited to watch him. There's maybe like, I don't know if there's like an under the radar transfer guy you kind of like this year that you've kind of fallen in love with throughout like your previewing for this season.
Yeah. There's definitely guys. Rob Wright, I love going to BYU. I think like he was great, especially in the second half of the season at Baylor last year. And if you're going to be one of the better point guards in the country, you get AJ DeBantel on one wing, Richie Saunders on the other. Like in an NBA style offense, fast pace, it couldn't be more set up for your success. And I think he's talented enough to do that. Cam Williams, I mentioned before, going to Kentucky, I like a lot. And Lawan Watts, I mentioned briefly at Texas Tech. He's part of the
Mhm.
reason why I love them so much. They lose Darian Williams, but they get a guy who will play the same role as Darian Williams. He's like a bigger guard, but can play the forward spot. He's stronger and more athletic and more aggressive than Darian, but he's maybe not as like smooth, maybe, I guess. He's a good shooter, though. He can play make too. Like, all about versatility. He does everything on the floor. So I think he's a guy not only that will be underrated on the college level, but I think he's an NBA guy too.
Yeah. A guy I like a little bit for mine is Dalen Swain, going from Xavier to Texas, following his coach that made that switch. And when I was doing my prep last year, he was somebody that I kind of fell in love with. If he declared, I would have definitely used a high second rounder on. Just like good defender, help defender, can cut very well, good athlete, runs the floor. Basically what you want is like a swing man at the NBA level. Yeah. And I'm not too familiar with like their scoring hierarchy this year, but I'm going to assume he's going to get a decent amount of touches this year at Texas. Simeon Wilcher is a name that he is there right now. I'm looking like Jordan Pope is projected the starting point guard, Draymond Mark. So we'll see who ends up like being the guy there. But if he's anything like he was at Xavier, I think he could definitely be a little bit more well-known of a name now playing in the SEC against some really good teams.
Yeah.
And then last thing, just kind of for the NBA draft. So I mentioned before, a lot of the top guys are playing at big schools this year, which is really exciting. We know it's like a three-headed monster between Peterson, Booza, and Dabansa, kind of as your top three. So that's kind of no shock. Do you have like a feel who you like between the three, or you're kind of like it's a 1A, 1B, 1C right now?
It like honestly, it'll shake out throughout the year. If the draft was tomorrow, this is one of the first times, if not the only time, I've ever been like, you know what? Whoever has the first pick can kind of draft for fit, right? If like the Nets had the first pick, they should take probably Cam Boozer and not Darren Peterson. They have more than enough scoring guards to do that, but it'll shake out eventually in some capacity. I think that Darren Peterson is probably the best prospect overall. Cam Boozer is right behind him, and then AJ behind that. Just in terms of what they like. Cam is such a good all-around player and polished. He like a little bit of a Paulo Banchero, John Shires compared him to, which makes sense. Yeah. Darren is just like, I don't have to find guards like that. He's big, but he plays small. He plays up. He's unbelievable. And then AJ is one of the better wing scoring prospects that we've seen in a long time. So 1A, 1B, 1C. If you had to go 1, 2, like it's a top three that are all number one pick quality players. So.
Yeah. And it will change throughout the year. There's a good chance we'll get kind of like a definitive answer at one point who we think will go number one. I mean, I would love it if it was like kind of like 2022 where it's like nobody really knew between Smith, Chet, and Paolo who's going to go one. Like I would love that. I think that's really cool. And it's better than just knowing flat out. Like last year, Cooper Flagg was always like the guy. There was like a brief moment early in the year where Dylan Harper was getting a ton of buzz to go number one. But I think it was always tough for him to really take that from Cooper, especially since Duke was like the best team or one of the best teams in the country. I think based off like the way he played and the potential, Ace probably had a good chance of taking it if Rutgers performed. He was a little bit better in college than based off like the potential he had going forward. But so those are the top three. Do you have any feel for like 4 or 5 right now and like types of prospects? Because right now for me, I have Natum at 4, which I could definitely change in like 2 weeks from now. Like I definitely realize that. I had Mikal Brown 5. I think there's definitely some Chris Sinak interest in there depending on how he looks at Houston, just because there's no like true center in this class that could be as like, I think impactful as him. There's Jaden Quainance, but he's a little bit undersized, but if he kind of could shoot the ball well and he looks good off the ACL tear, like he could definitely be in there. I like Yesufu a lot. Is there anybody like you really like for 4 or 5, or it's up in the air right now?
Yeah, I think the beginning of the year it always starts as only freshmen, and the freshman class is very strong. So like Nate Ament, Sinak, Michael Brown, also even like Tunde Yesufu at Baylor, and Braylon Mullins if he looks good healthy. It always starts as the freshman, but then 1 or 2 or 3 upperclassmen start to make a name for themselves. Like we had Dalton Connect that one year where like he just skyrocketed up and was crazy. Like there will be a couple of guys like that. Maybe if Isaiah Evans goes crazy, or I don't think Yaxel is going to go that high, but if Hannes Steinbach is as good as we want him to be, like why can't he go lottery in top 10? I know there's also international guys, Kareem Lopez, Dash Daniels. I love the Daniels family, so I'm all about that. But so it's the upperclassmen will start to make a name for themselves, 3 or 4 of them in the upper echelon of the first round. But to start, it's going to be the freshmen. Ament's probably got the highest upside of those guys at the top 3. So as of now, if I had to, like, sure, he'll put him 4 for now, but he might slide. So
Definitely. So we'll see if like Rick Barnes could produce a top guy here, which he hasn't done maybe in a little bit going forward. But it's gonna be a fun like freshman class. This is a loaded freshman class,
Yeah.
honestly. And I'm excited for this season. I guess before we go, I have to ask you, what's your checking on your Hawks right
Dude,
now? How are we feeling
I
about them?
can't with this team. It's such a waste of my time. Like, I haven't seen anything on the Trey injury from yesterday.
Hmm.
It doesn't even matter. Like, they're this team sucks. The good news, we have the Pelicans draft pick, so it's okay.
Yeah. Which oh my god. I mean, yeah, you're glad that because you guys don't own your pick, but it's good that they're also playing
They're
bad. I
worse than
mean,
us. They are worse than us, and they will be. Bring me Cam Boozer.
I can't believe Joe Dumars did this
That was
again.
a
I
great
can't believe
trade.
Joe
I loved it,
Dumars.
but Derek Queen looks great. That's my guy. He looks great.
No, I know. Yeah, it's so unfair to him too because he's
Yeah.
going to be like looked at this. It's like so unfair that he's going to have that pressure.
If the
But
Hawks, if the pick next year ends up being one of those top 3 or someone that's amazing, it'll like Derek Queen's gonna have to be the best player ever, or he'll always get
it's
remembered
so
like that. It's like the Trey Luca thing. Trey always
yeah,
gets
right.
remembered by Luka Doncic, which is so annoying, but it is what it is. So
Yeah, we're watching DeAndre Jordan play center right now for the Pelicans, which is crazy
yeah,
at this
that's
point in the year. So we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, if that pick is top 3, I mean, Atlanta's in a good spot. We'll see kind of for them, but yeah. Dyson needs to be better. Reese Shea needs to be better. They've gotten off to a slow start. I think they'll be fine. They beat Brooklyn last night. They should be fine. Hopefully Trey's not out too.
you feel good about the
Loaded
Knicks.
Brooklyn Nets.
You obviously feel good about the Knicks, I assume.
I do and I don't. I mean, so they start off the year, they beat Cleveland, no Garland. They beat the Celtics, no Tatum. Then they lose to Miami, and the Milwaukee loss was kind of bad.
Yeah.
They played on Tuesday, I think it was. I don't know. Josh Hart has not been good this year. Cat has not been good this year. I think they'll figure it out. Like it's a new system with Mike Brown.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're getting the worst games out of the way right now, which you expect.
Yeah.
The East maybe looks worse than we thought. Like as much as I want to respect Chicago's start and Philly's start, I can't see them being like conference finals like contenders this year. And with Orlando struggling, it's probably still Cleveland's conference to lose, but yeah, I wish I felt a little bit better about the Knicks, but I don't right now.
That's okay.
It's been pretty rough.
It's good that you don't have to, because the East, like you said, you don't feel good about anybody in the East unless VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey are the best duo ever, which they look like. So
Which could be, yeah. Like this team doesn't have McCain, Paul George, and a Embiid non-minutes restriction team yet.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
we'll end up seeing what happens. So yeah, thanks for doing this. It was super fun to do. Kind of just talk college hoops, get excited about this season. All of Ryan links will be in the description below. Check out his podcast, check out everything there, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.